and welcome to my channel, Vegan Tabulous, and I hope that you're having a vegan tabulous day. This video today is how to do delicious dandelion greens in 4 easy steps, and those steps actually include just picking, washing, cutting, and cooking. So it will only take a small amount of time to do that. I would like to share with you a little something about dandelion greens. They're very special because they are rich in vitamin A, K, and C. They're also good for eye health, and they help to protect the liver, and they help with weight loss. If you are doing this first time, I definitely suggest that you get with your physician just to make sure everything is okay. And if you like this video, please look down and like, share, subscribe, and we'll be getting off into how to do your dandelion greens like now.
As we can see, we've got dandelion greens, and dandelion greens are great for vitamin C. They have antioxidants, and they're great for your immune system. On this side, you can see I've actually picked them. This is a stem here. I've just picked the leaves off of them, and now I'm preparing for washing and cutting. Okay, so we've got our dandelion greens in the sink here. Now, dandelion greens are a sandy green, so we want to let it sit in the cold water. I've got some cold water here so that the sediments fall to the bottom. I put a little of the salt here, just some plain salt, to take care of any little critters that might be lurking in your water and in your greens. So we're just going to let them sit for about 20 minutes, and then we'll come back and do subsequent washing. Okay, so we're on our second washing of the dandelion greens. Now this one, I've got the water at like a room temperature, and the only thing that you really have to do now is you're just going to agitate your greens, you know, and in agitating the greens, it's going to loosen up more sediments and sand and dirt and grit from your greens so that you can prepare them for cooking. And you'll do that until the water, until the bottom of the sink, once you let that water out, is you're not going to feel any more dirt or any more grit, and the water, you know, will basically be clear. So you're going to do that until that time. It might take maybe 2 other washings for you, and then you'll be ready to move on to the next step, which is actually bunching them up and cutting the greens. Well, now our greens are all nice and washed and laid out. I've got them laid out on this tray here, and so the next step is really the only thing that you need to do is just take the greens and cut the greens up. And once we get the greens all cut up, we'll be ready to actually get into how to put these delicious dandelion greens together. And now we're back to do our greens, and so we have a little oil on the eye on a medium setting, and what you're going to see here is we've got a trio, and the trio is spring onions, the dandelion greens that have been cut and prepped, and delicious fresh tomatoes. So let's get started. You don't want a lot of oil, you just want enough oil to go over the bottom of your skillet. You can use a cast iron skillet. In this case, I'm using really just a saucepan, and allowing it to heat up a little bit. And you don't need much heat for this, just so that you know. These greens basically kind of cook themselves. So what you're going to do is just put those onions over into the pan and let those onions go on and saute. And then you'll be putting in the greens. And the last thing that's going to go into this mix actually are the tomatoes. You can flavor this mix however you like. Some people like to add a little garlic to it. You can actually add fresh garlic. You can add any of your salt or seasoned salts that you like. I like to use the Bragg's liquid amino. Very tasty and flavors your food very well. So as you can see here, we're stirring the onions, and we're going to get those onions until they're caramelized. Okay, so we've been 2 or 3 minutes now on the onions, and that's all it really takes. It's a fresh, delicious dish, so you don't want to cook anything too long. And we're just going to take and start adding our dandelion greens. Now really, all of these greens, it seems like it's a lot, but all of these greens can go in the pan, or if you have a pot, you choose to use a pot, that's fine too, can go in the pot, and because they make their own water, they just cook right down. They just steam right down. So what we're going to do now is we're going to reduce the eye just a little bit until it's like a medium high, and we'll cover it with hot top. And allow those greens to cook down. If you happen to be using a pot and it's a lot of greens, you can put the greens in the pot, let those greens cook down a little bit, open up the pot top and add the rest of the greens, and those greens will cook down. Then you can stir them from the bottom up, and they'll continue to cook well. And so we allowed the greens to steam for about, 2-3 minutes, not long. And as you can see here, the only thing we're doing is we're taking the greens and we're turning them from the bottom up, to turn them around. Kind of like you're trying to turn the ones that weren't cooked to the bottom and put the ones that were cooked while steaming on the top. So now you see you have your little green mix there. Now you can actually take and add a little bit of water and your seasoning. Now because I'm using the liquid amino, makes things a little easier because I don't have a dry mix. Yep, makes things a little bit easier because this is not a dry mix. And then I can add a little bit of water to the mix as well. You're not adding a lot because remember, again, you're going to cover the skillet again with the pot top. Okay, so now we're about 4 minutes in to the dandelion greens cooking on the stove here. What we're going to do now, you see they've melted down even more again. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to add our tomatoes. Ooh wee, delish. Ooh wee. You all ready to eat? I know I am. So what we'll do is we're just going to stir the tomatoes in. That's all. We're just going to stir the tomatoes in a little bit here. That's about it. There we go. So now that we got the tomatoes all stirred in, and as you can see, like I told you before, they've made their own water in addition to what we put there, and also the liquid amino. We can cover it with the pot top and let the tomatoes cook down. I'd say that should take about maybe another 5 minutes. So this whole procedure in terms of cooking, I'd say would take you about 20 minutes. Of course, the prep time is additional because you're washing the greens and you're cutting the greens. So I'd say within about 40 minutes, you should have a nice skillet or pot full of delicious and nutritious dandelion greens.
Okay, so we're back again. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And I have had a lot of requests from some of my West African friends. And even if you yourself are familiar with West African dishes and you're looking to veganize some of those dishes, well, we'll be doing just that, utilizing our dandelion greens and making a delicious West African rice pot. Look forward to seeing you soon.